Last year, I sat across from a 72-year-old woman who had been managing high blood pressure for 11 years. She was walking every day. She was taking her medication without fail. She had done everything right, and her numbers were still not where they needed to be. She looked at me and said, "I don't understand what else I'm supposed to do." And I had to be honest with her. The problem wasn't her effort. The problem was that nobody had ever given her the right information. Today, I'm going to give it to you. 7 things, all sitting in your kitchen right now. Stay with me. Let me tell you something they don't always have time to explain at the doctor's office. After 60, your blood pressure doesn't just rise because of stress or too much salt at dinner. Something deeper is happening. Think of your arteries like a garden hose. When you're young, that hose is flexible. It bends, it absorbs pressure. It handles the flow without straining. But as you get older, the walls of those vessels begin to stiffen. They lose their elasticity, and a rigid hose cannot handle the same pressure a flexible one can. That's when readings start climbing. That's when medication alone starts struggling to keep up. I've spent 30 years as a cardiac surgeon. I've held human hearts in my hands. I've repaired arteries that looked decades older than the person they belonged to. And I've asked myself the same question after nearly every procedure. How did it get this far? The answer, more often than not, is this: the right information never reached them in time. That's what this video is about. Not replacing your medication. I want to be very clear about that. But giving your body 7 powerful tools that work alongside whatever your doctor has prescribed. Tools that in many cases I've seen make a dramatic, measurable difference. Are you ready? Let's start. Number 1, the DASH diet. The most powerful dietary protocol ever studied for high blood pressure was not created by a wellness brand or a supplement company. It was designed by the National Institutes of Health and tested in a landmark clinical trial published in the New England Journal of Medicine. What it found stopped a lot of people in the research community in their tracks. In adults with high blood pressure, the DASH diet reduced systolic readings by approximately 11 points within weeks of starting. Not months, weeks. In patients with mild hypertension, the magnitude of that result was comparable to first-line medication. The American Heart Association now ranks it the single most effective dietary approach for hypertension. Not second. Not one option among many. First, that ranking has not changed. What does it actually require? More fruits, vegetables, whole grains, low-fat dairy, and lean protein. That is the core of it. No exotic ingredients, no specialist shopping list. But there is one rule patients have to genuinely get serious about: sodium. Keeping it under 2,300 milligrams a day. That's roughly 1 teaspoon of salt across an entire day. Most people over 60 are consuming far more than that without realizing it, because sodium is buried inside everyday foods. Bread, tinned soups, bottled sauces, ready meals. Not just the salt you add at the table. Once you start reading labels consistently, you will be genuinely surprised by how fast those milligrams add up across what feels like a completely ordinary day. I wish I told every hypertensive patient this at their very first appointment, not buried in a leaflet. Said clearly, face to face, the way I'm saying it to you now. Number 2, beetroot. I know, bear with me. Scientists at Queen Mary University London ran a double-blind clinical trial funded by the British Heart Foundation across 64 patients with diagnosed high blood pressure. Half drank 250 milliliters of beetroot juice every day for 4 weeks. The other half received a placebo, a drink that looked and tasted identical but contained no active compounds. The beetroot group showed an average systolic reduction of 8 points, enough to bring many of those patients back into the normal range entirely. And here's the detail that I think matters most. Half of those patients were already on prescribed medication and still weren't hitting their targets. The beetroot moved numbers that medication alone couldn't. The mechanism is specific. Beetroot is exceptionally rich in inorganic nitrate. The digestive system converts that nitrate to nitric oxide inside the artery walls. And nitric oxide tells the arteries to relax and open up. It's essentially doing what an entire class of blood pressure medications tries to do naturally. One critical practical point: do not boil it. Nitrate is water-soluble. It leaches out into the cooking water and disappears. Steam it, roast it, or juice it. All three preserve the compounds fully. A bunch costs £1 to £2 at most supermarkets. It belongs in your kitchen every single week. Number 3, potassium. Here's what I don't think most people over 60 have ever been properly told. Potassium doesn't just support heart health in some vague, general way. It works directly against sodium at a cellular level, actively, biochemically, every hour of the day. When potassium is adequate, the kidneys excrete more sodium and the arteries stay relaxed. When potassium is low, sodium's vessel-constricting effect goes completely unopposed. A Harvard-led pooled analysis of 6 major cohort studies published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that every 1,000 milligram increase in daily potassium was associated with an 18% lower risk of cardiovascular disease, confirmed across hundreds of thousands of participants. The NHS recommends 3,500 milligrams daily. Most adults over 60 are reaching only 50 to 60% of that. The gap is real, and it rarely comes up in a 10-minute appointment because properly explaining it takes longer than most consultations allow. The foods that close that gap are all affordable and easy to find. Bananas, sweet potato, avocado, lentils, spinach. The single easiest change I recommend to patients is replacing white potato with sweet potato at dinner. One swap, every evening. Start there. If what I'm sharing today is already helping you, please subscribe. New evidence-based content every week, completely free. Number 4, magnesium. This is the one I make a point of raising with every hypertensive patient I see, because the research suggests it is being widely overlooked. According to National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey data, approximately 48% of Americans consume less than the recommended amount of magnesium from food. Older adults are among the most likely to fall short. And here's what makes it so insidious. There are no obvious symptoms, no clear warning signs. Without routine testing, most people have no way of knowing. Magnesium regulates the calcium channels inside arterial walls, the channels that determine whether those walls stay relaxed or stay slightly contracted. Without adequate magnesium, those channels remain subtly overactivated. The arteries stay slightly tighter than they should. Not dramatically, not suddenly, slowly and invisibly, across every reading, every single day. A meta-analysis of 34 randomized controlled trials found that supplementation at around 300 to 400 milligrams daily produced measurable reductions in systolic blood pressure. The food sources I recommend to patients are pumpkin seeds, almonds, spinach, and dark chocolate at 70% cocoa or above. On the dark chocolate specifically, 30 grams daily is clinically supported across multiple published trials. I tell patients to think of it as medicine they'll actually look forward to taking. I've yet to have a single complaint. Number 5. Berries. A landmark analysis led by scientists at the University of East Anglia and Harvard, drawing on data from over 155,000 people, followed across 14 years, found that those with the highest intake of anthocyanins had an 8% lower risk of being diagnosed with hypertension compared to those with the lowest intake. Anthocyanins are the pigments that give blueberries, blackcurrants, raspberries, and strawberries their deep colors. They directly improve arterial flexibility, the capacity of vessel walls to expand and contract properly with each heartbeat. That flexibility is exactly what we're trying to restore. What I tell every patient: frozen berries preserve anthocyanin content just as well as fresh. The freezing process does not degrade the active compounds. A bag costs £2 to £3 a week. 150 grams daily is the amount used consistently in studies showing measurable pressure reductions. Add them to breakfast every single morning. No preparation required. This advice should be given at the very first hypertension diagnosis. I make sure it is. Number 6. Extra virgin olive oil. I want you to walk to your kitchen after this video and look at what oils you have in your cupboard. Because what I'm about to tell you may be the most important thing in this entire video. And it's also something that has been genuinely obscured for a long time. The pre-dimed trial, a randomized, multi-center study of over 7,000 participants published in the New England Journal of Medicine, found that those eating a Mediterranean diet supplemented with extra virgin olive oil showed a 30% reduction in major cardiovascular events compared to those on a standard low-fat diet. 30%. The intervention amount was 4 tablespoons per day, not a drizzle over a salad. 4 tablespoons consistently every day. The reason it works is specific. Extra virgin olive oil is rich in compounds called polyphenols, hydroxytyrosol, oleocanthal, oleuropein, that directly reduce arterial wall inflammation at a cellular level. Refined olive oil, common olive oil, and light olive oil all undergo industrial processing that strips those compounds out almost entirely. What remains is just a cooking fat. The label must say extra virgin. That is not a premium marketing claim. That is the clinical distinction between the product studied in the trial and the products that were not. Check your cupboard tonight. If you have refined seed oils, you don't have to throw them away immediately. Just stop buying them when they run out. Replace them with extra virgin olive oil. That one change alone, over 3 to 6 months, can make a measurable difference. Number 7. Garlic. My patients sometimes smile when I bring this up. Garlic has been used in kitchens and in traditional medicine for centuries, and peer-reviewed clinical science has since confirmed its value across multiple meta-analyses of randomized controlled trials. A 2024 systematic review synthesizing 9 trials found aged garlic extract reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 4 points in hypertensive adults. An earlier meta-analysis of 12 trials involving over 500 hypertensive participants found reductions exceeding 8 points. comparable, the authors noted, to the effects of standard antihypertensive medication. Multiple independent research teams. Consistent findings across years of published data. Here's the practical detail that matters. When you use raw garlic, crush it first and wait 10 minutes before it goes anywhere near heat. That waiting period is not arbitrary. Crushing releases an enzyme called alliinase, which converts a compound in the garlic into allicin, the biologically active form where the therapeutic benefit originates. Heat destroys alliinase almost immediately. The 10 minutes allows the full conversion to complete. 2 to 4 cloves daily corresponds to the effective range across clinical protocols. The cost is almost nothing, and garlic works alongside every other strategy on this list at the same time. It isn't competing for a slot. It is multiplying everything else. I want to stop here for a moment, because I can already predict what some of you are thinking. This sounds too simple. If it really worked this well, my doctor would have told me already. I understand that reaction completely. I had it early in my career too. But here is what 30 years of operating on damaged hearts has taught me. The most powerful interventions are almost never the most complicated ones. The body isn't looking for complexity. It's looking for the right conditions to heal itself. And every single one of these 7 strategies works through the same fundamental mechanism: reducing inflammation and restoring the flexibility of your blood vessel walls. That's the whole game. 7 different doors, all leading to the same room. The woman I told you about at the beginning, the one who had done everything right for 11 years and still wasn't hitting her targets. She made these changes carefully, in full conversation with her cardiologist. 6 months later, she came back for her follow-up. Her doctor had reduced her medication. Her inflammatory markers had dropped. Her pressure was stable, genuinely stable, for the first time in over a decade. And the first thing she said when she walked in was, "Why did nobody tell me this 11 years ago?" That question stays with me. It's a large part of why I make videos like this one. The research exists, the evidence exists, but somewhere between the laboratory and the clinic, and you sitting at your kitchen table right now, it gets lost. You have everything you need to start tonight. Not after your next appointment. Tonight. Let me say them one more time clearly. 1. Follow the DASH diet framework and keep sodium under 2,300 milligrams a day. 2. Add beetroot to your weekly routine. Steamed, roasted, or juiced, never boiled. 3. Increase potassium through sweet potato, bananas, lentils, and spinach. 4. Address magnesium through pumpkin seeds, almonds, and 30 grams of dark chocolate daily. 5. 150 grams of frozen berries every morning, without exception. Replace refined cooking oils with extra virgin olive oil, 4 tablespoons a day. 7. 2 to 4 crushed garlic cloves daily, 10 minutes before heat. 7 things. No exotic supplements, no new prescriptions, nothing that requires a specialist referral. Now, pick just one, not all 7, just one that feels easiest to start with tonight. Because sustainable change doesn't come from doing everything at once and burning out inside a week. It comes from one decision, made consistently until it becomes invisible, until it's simply the way you live. I've seen this work, not in theory, but in real people in their 60s and 70s and 80s who decided it was not too late to give their body better tools. It is never too late. Your blood vessels are remarkably responsive. Give them the right environment and they will respond. Which of these 7 are you going to try first? Tell me in the comments. I read them. And if this video helped you, please share it. There are people in your life right now who need exactly this information and have no idea it exists. Take care of your heart. It has been working for you every minute of your life without asking for anything in return. It deserves this. One last thing, and this matters. Everything I've shared today is general information based on current published research and my clinical experience. It is not a replacement for your personal medical care. Please do not stop or reduce any medication your doctor has prescribed without speaking to them first. Bring this information to your next appointment. Have the conversation. Your doctor is your partner in this. And these 7 strategies work best when they work alongside proper medical supervision.